let me ask you a question. Is that your Super Bowl team? Is that the team that you have playing in the NFC Championship already? In the Detroit Lions, who my Buccaneers just went into their building again and put on a show? This team is so good. I don't give a shit what the national media has to say about this one. I told you in my video 2 weeks ago that you keep sleeping on this team and you are going to regret it. I have gotta stop hearing and seeing the disrespect. I've been dealing with it my entire life. Even in the years we've won the Super Bowl, nobody wants to talk our name. Nobody wants to speak and put some respect where it is deserved. This is not an overreaction. I have been telling you for weeks now that this team, and I told you last year, people who in the national media want to say that we're running this thing into the tank, you got another thing coming. And I'm not putting up with it, which is why you see me on this channel right now being way more emotional than you ever did, because I'm no longer putting up with it. For the detractors who want to say that the Bucs got beat over the top with a Jameson Williams play, let me ask you, did that happen a second time, or did Todd Bowles bracket him very quickly, put him into double coverage, and then you didn't see him for a quarter? I told you Todd Bowles was elite. You didn't want to believe me. That Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that played and nearly won that game against the Lions last time, they had real questions in the secondary with a bunch of rookies, some undrafted, who at times looked like they weren't ready to be on that stage. But today, that same group of dudes, guys you've never heard of, covered who some people think is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFC in Amon-ra St. Brown. Their running attack today wasn't even special. And Baker Mayfield is playing out of his absolute mind, along with Chris Godwin. Keep their names and our names out of your mouth unless you are putting us in a conversation for the best team in the NFC. You saw what San Francisco looked like without Christian McCaffrey. Is that the thing that holds them back as NFC champions? Well, we're gonna have to see how that plays out, because right now I am hard pressed to find a team that is putting together an effort in the same way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. They are absolutely stacked. You want to talk about their weaknesses? Last year, like I said, was the DBs. That didn't look like a problem today. And then there will be people in my comments who will bring up stat lines and who talk about how much receiving yards Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams had, or how many carries David Montgomery had. I don't give a shit. What I care about is there a W on the screen? Because I don't care about stats. Stats mean shit to me when I've got a 2 and an O in the wins and loss column. You saw how that team responded. You saw when the run wasn't really working out, and Baker now decides that when the play breaks down and the offensive line shows its ass, which it did a lot in the first half, with the slightest bit of daylight in the pocket, he's navigating it like an absolute pro. His instincts and his feet are way more special than people want to give him credit for. And at times, when he could have continued to run and embarrass the Detroit Lions, he chose to run it up to the line of scrimmage and get the ball to Chris Godwin, who's got the hot hand. That dude had the best game in the entire, on both sides of the field. So don't bring me the Amon-Ra, don't bring me Jameson Williams bullshit. I don't want to hear it. My cousin sent me a text and he said, Baker Mayfield is so us. He was born to play here, and I couldn't agree more. Baker doesn't panic. He looked like a seasoned veteran the entire game, and has in the first game and almost all of last year. His decision-making ability and the way the ball flies off his hand is nothing to scoff at, and he needs to be given credit where credit is due. You did not even see the full potential of the offense today. Mike Evans barely had any catches. We barely went to the slot receivers. White got hurt early on. You see a backup running back coming in, Bucky, with very little drop off for the way that you're playing in the first half, and you still can't run the ball on the Buccaneers. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what you say. What did I just tell you? I care about wins and losses, and in the first half, those Buccaneers smashed the Detroit Lions running attack in the mouth. Some people think they have the best running back committee in the league. No issue for the Bucs. Even with Vita Vea out, still getting pressure on Goff, still making him uncomfortable. The formula is always the same with guys like Jared Goff, who are statues in the pocket. If you get in their face, if you make them think that they're going to even just get touched in the slightest, that's where you see these interceptions coming in. And we had multiple drops. But guys like Zyon and Christian Izien, those dudes, I don't care. They looked extremely comfortable. They did not look overmatched. They're smaller, but it doesn't seem to matter. This team is not penalized. They're not making stupid mistakes. You have concerns like some people in my comments have about us having to play teams like the Atlanta Falcons fans who have, quote, three-headed monsters, that's fine. Because what we lack in talent, we make up for in scheme and situational football on the defensive end. For their running backs to each have 5 touches in the first half, when that is really the way that their team, that's really the way they get their motor going, shows a lot. And it tells you how the rest of the NFL feels about these Buccaneers. They know that they're not moving the ball on the ground. When you see these guys in the secondary making ridiculous plays and covering to an elite level, when you've got that and you're getting pressure with a 4-man rush, the formula is the same. It is the same team as the Super Bowl team. And it's not an overreaction. You got second-year guys in Sirvocea Dennis with 8 tackles, Tryon-Shoinka, who's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but had an amazing game in terms of the influence that he had and shifting the nature of the game. And so far, the only real questions you had was in that first half. The offensive line was getting their ass kicked a bit. And ideally, you don't want Baker scrambling, even if that does seem to be a strength of his early in the season. Against a better secondary than the Detroit Lions, the Buccaneers could have problems. But besides that, I'm really struggling to find a major issue here. There were times where Liam Coen could have chosen to not put Cade Otton and weaker blockers on the guy that almost had 5 sacks in the game in Aiden Hutchinson. Those are some of the things that they will clean up this week. And I'm telling you, the Buccaneers are about to roll. I understand that this is somewhat of a difficult schedule coming up, but this was supposed to be one of the harder games that we had. And the Buccaneers looked in control, particularly in that fourth quarter and in the first half. Adding Jordan Whitehead to the equation again makes this team more athletic and much more physical, which is saying a lot when you already have Antoine Winfield sitting opposite of him and you have guys like Lavonte David. Mark my words, the Buccaneers will continue to show up and they will continue to make statements, and you will continue to doubt us like you have my entire life. And I will keep getting on here every week and I will keep telling you the truth. And it's not about your feelings, it's about the facts. They more than passed the eye test. And we're just gonna keep rattling these wins off in silence and keep picking the Atlanta Falcons and keep telling me that the Saints are a real team. I'll let you know if they're a real team when they see us, because we're the measuring stick. Appreciate you stopping by for this instant reaction. The fact that I have a jersey on right now with this level of excitement and emotion is telling you how good I feel about this team and how good my crystal ball actually is. Later tonight or tomorrow, I will be releasing a video on the remaining games and my reaction to week 2 of the season in the same way I did last week. I'll link that video if you want to catch up on my thoughts. And as always, appreciate you stopping by. I will see you next time.